This will probably just be a quick election update because there's not a lot of information that came out today. All we did is just find out that there are a lot more judges on benches that really shouldn't be there because they just couldn't be asked to fucking do their job at this point. But we're going to go to Arizona, we're going to go to Michigan, and we're also going to go to Nevada because none of it is good, but a lot of it is expected at this point. And then I also found a nice little companion piece to the 2000 election, the one that's being constantly compared to because, well, for fucking obvious reasons at this point. But before we get into that, we got to focus on the now so we can properly contextualize the past. Arizona court rejects GOP challenge to election results. And yeah, seeing the Supreme Court because, well, Arizona, once again, it was going over those duplicate ballots, and then they found at the 100 sample, they found 2 out of the 100, 2%. I know, right? Math. But then when they did the 2700, which, like, I was thinking, okay, they're probably going through them right now. And by the time that I was done recording yesterday, they went through the sampling and they found that half a percentage point were fucked up. That is still more than enough to overturn the election in Arizona. So you'd think that a judge would probably be like, yeah, we should probably audit the rest of this shit. Nah, that takes way too much work. We'll just throw this shit out, right? An Arizona state court on Friday rejected a challenge lodged by Dr. Kelly Ward, the only Republican in that state. I thought I was misspeaking there for a second. Well, saying a Republican and doing something is definitely a misspeak unless you're talking about Kelly Ward for sure. The state's Republican Party chairwoman prompting celebrations from Secretary of State. Yuck. However, the Arizona Republican Party indicates the leadership intends to push the challenge to the Supreme Court because somebody's got to do something. Otherwise, this is just going to be stolen. I don't know. I don't want to speculate on this. It's the weekend. The fucking courts are just doing weird shit anyways. The court finds no fraud, no misconduct, and no effect on the outcome of the election. That is fucking retarded. Maricopa County Superior Court Judge Randall Warner ruled plaintiffs have not proven that the Biden-Harris ticket did not receive the highest number of votes. Oh my God. 2 audits producing enough evidence that but it's not enough for Randy there. Ward's lawsuit claimed the observers were not able to monitor in a meaningful way and also targeted Arizona ballots that election workers duplicated so they could be read by a tabulation machine, which they allege resulted in votes flipping from President Donald Trump to the guy named Joe, and the state's method for verifying signatures on mail-in ballots. Exactly, should be looking at that because that is the only way that this election is going to be turned over. But if you don't have any judges doing fuck all about it, then what is the point? They might as well have just, spit on the paper and folded it over and put it into the fucking ballot box. So yeah, that's the update in Arizona. And also still the legislature is calling for a comprehensive audit of the Dominion voting systems that were used explicitly in Maricopa County, the largest county in Arizona. So, okay, let's move on to Michigan because there's more good news to be had. Michigan Board of Elections orders county clerks to delete vote data. You're supposed to keep that for a very long time, by the way. But nah, it's probably taking up hard drive space and they need to download the next season of This Is Us. I don't even know if that's still on the air. I don't even know TV shows anymore. Michigan Republican legislative leaders are not happy on Friday when they learned that the Board of Elections ordered county clerks to delete election-related data from government computers. Well, guess what? If you can't audit it and the Supreme Court actually steps up in Michigan, guess what? Revote, fuckers. Aha. On December 1st, the Board of Elections, which is under the auspices of Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson. I don't even need to look at the next letter. I can guess it's Democrat. Well, I already know. Okay, I cover this every fucking day. Sent a memo to the clerks about recounts and the release of voting equipment. One section entitled E-Poll Books, Laptops, and Flash Drives read, the EPB software and associated files must be deleted from all devices by the 7th calendar day following the final canvass and certification of the election. Yep. This is a blatant abuse of power. Unless a petition for a recount has been filed and the recount has not been completed, a post-election audit is planned but not yet been completed, or the deletion of the data has been stayed by an order of the court of the Secretary of State. But if you delete it first, they can't order that. That is some fucking 5D thinking right there. Yeah, it raised the ire of a bunch of Republicans like Matt Hall, Ed McBroom, Lee Chatfield, and Mike Shirky. And there is a challenge in Michigan right now, so I don't know why she's getting so fucking hasty about that. Probably because there's evidence of fraud. Done being cute. Chatfield and Shirky issued a directive on November 6th, which served as a notice of the Michigan State Legislature's plan to conduct an inquiry into the general election, a release from Hall said. Wow, sounds like that is a piece of legislation that would probably prevent you from deleting stuff unless you're a crooked bitch, but who knows? Because of that inquiry, Detroit City Clerk and BOE offices were directed to preserve certain materials, including relevant electronic information. I think data logs would probably be chief amongst those. The inquiry also demands that all surveillance videos recordings that were taken at the TCF Center in Detroit on November 3rd through 5th be kept, it continued. I'm sure those probably didn't magically get a magnet dropped onto them. Probably not whatsoever. And you know what? If you get that video footage, it will look suspiciously a lot like the stuff that was coming out of the State Farm Arena, which fucking Gabriel Iglesias Sanchez, whatever the fuck his name is, the head counter out there under Brad Raffensperger in Georgia, said that, yeah, perfectly normal. We're supposed to keep the suitcases hidden and kick out everybody. They're fucking retard. So yeah, if we don't get an update on Michigan in the next few days, probably it's because they deleted all the information. And then the Supreme Court can step in and tell them to fucking do something about it. But you wouldn't think that they'd be so bold. You wouldn't think that. And it at least looks like the Michigan State House is doing something about this. So if they're taking a personal interest in this, they're probably following along the lines of the third topic of the day, that House Rep Mo Brooks out in Alabama says he's going to start contesting the elector votes. So they'll probably glob onto that because there's a lot of hubbub about that. But that's the topic for the third video of the day. So that'll about wrap it for Michigan here. A bunch of Republicans are pissed off that information may or may not have been deleted. It's kind of unknown. It's just what this bitch Jocelyn Benson has put forward. So how about over in Nevada? More good news. Nevada judge dismisses Trump lawsuit. That's not good news now, is it? God, there's going to be a lot of lawsuits in front of the Supreme Court, hey? A Nevada judge has dismissed a lawsuit filed by President Donald Trump's campaign in the state to seek to throw out tens of thousands of votes. Judge James Russell, why do all these people have names that sound exactly the same? That's weird. Wrote in his order that the Trump campaign did not prove under any standard of proof. Oh my God, registered voters that live in empty lots? Yeah, okay, that's no evidence of proof, hey? Retard. That any illegal votes were cast and counted, or legal votes were not counted at all. Oh my God, the crux of it was illegally registered voters and people who were dead, people who didn't live in the States. But yeah, no evidence, right? For any other improper or illegal reasons, nor in an amount equal to or greater than the 33,596, or otherwise in the amount that is sufficient to raise reasonable doubt or the outcome of the election. The margin of victory in Nevada is like 11 to 12,000 votes. It's not 33,000, you fucking disingenuous, lazy hack. Russell also wrote that the campaign did not prove that the electronic voting machines malfunctioned in the manner sufficient to raise reasonable doubt. So they did malfunction, it just wasn't enough to pique your interest. Okay, I understand. Over the election outcome, the campaign also did not prove that the election board or any member thereof was guilty of malfeasance, says you fucker. The judge also wrote that the campaign did not prove that the defendant or any person acting either directly or indirectly on behalf of the defendant was given or offered to give to any person anything of value for the purpose of manipulating or altering the outcome of the election. So they didn't bribe anybody, is what he's trying to say in so many words. Okay, so Republicans proved that there was fraud, but not enough to pique this guy's interest, and Democrats didn't bribe anybody. Okay, you're just totally going to disregard all of those fraudulent, or at least fucked up looking registrations. I understand. Doing your homework's hard. He also ordered Trump campaign lawyers to pay defendants legal fees because, of course, just rubbing that salt into those wounds. We disagree with the order. Amanda Millis, spokesperson for Jesse Binnell, a lawyer on the Trump legal team, said in an emailed statement, "Well, I would be too. The case and evidence was presented was compelling and overwhelming. We will be appealing to the Nevada Supreme Court," which I'm sure probably won't just immediately get tossed out because they're all a part of that old school Harry Reid, who was Senate Majority Leader for the Democrats the last time that they had the Senate, by the way, and did such great work, like confirming Supreme Court justices didn't no longer have to be a supermajority, it just had to be a simple majority. Yeah, his fingerprints are all over the state of Nevada, by the way, in case you didn't know that, and all of his appointees, all of the judges in the Supreme and the circuit courts were all vetted through the Harry Reid machine, so that'll be another one that's going to the Supreme Court. And speaking of Supreme Court, we're done doing the fucking recaps. Yeah, it was a whole bunch of, just lazy judicial work. This is too tough to read. I'll just throw it out. There's no evidence of widespread voter fraud. We get it. I found this very interesting. This kind of recaps the lawsuits that were going on at the 2000 election. Now, I heard a bunch of these state level lawsuits because, well, it was only centered in Florida there in 2000. I was only 10. I didn't really fucking remember any of this stuff. But reading through this article really just kind of echoes everything that's going on today, just letting you know that history tends to repeat itself. Florida's top election officials, this was published September 4th, 2002. Presidential election lawsuit ends. Anybody getting antsy about the current state of the lawsuits right now should probably strap in for a little longer of a ride. Florida's top election officials and the leading U.S. civil rights groups said on Tuesday they had settled a lawsuit that alleged Florida systemically excluded thousands of minority voters from the presidential election in 2000. Now, doesn't that sound familiar? Wasn't that what those assholes were screeching when Wayne County was going to be getting certified there the first time, or not getting certified, rather? Weren't they saying, "Oh, you're being racist, you're disenfranchising all the majority black city of Detroit"? It's hilarious how they never update their tactics. The class action lawsuit filed on January 2001 after George W. Bush claimed the U.S. presidency by just 537 votes in Georgia. Ooh, that's the same percentage that carjackings are up in Minneapolis. Alleged election officials systemically kept blacks away from voting booths by illegally dropping them from voter rolls and properly handling their registration so they did not appear on a voter list, or by simply turning them away from polling places. See, remember, guys, Donald Trump isn't the first president to be called a Nazi or a racist. Neither was Bush, by the way, but, like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives. The National Association for the Advancement of Colored People filed a suit against election supervisors in 7 counties, and then Florida Secretary of State Katherine Harris, sorry, it's just a guttural feeling whenever I read that last name, but settled it with her successor, Jim Smith. Wonder if he has golden underwear. "It's a long time coming, and we're glad to finally be here," said Thomasina Williams, an attorney for, of course, the NAACP. The two sides said the settlement will build on the Florida Election Reform Act of 2001, which you see perfectly carried out during this election when Florida, there was no problems whatsoever in Florida. Now, was that? Nobody's challenging the results there because they fucked up royally once and fixed everything the first time, the next time they had to, which included changes in registration list maintenance, provided funding for improved voter education and poll worker training, not the fun kind, just the boring kind, and created alternative voting and registration procedures. The most significant part of the settlement is how the central voter database will be set up, restoring the polls. The people who were wrongfully purged, said Anita Hodgkiss, a plaintiff's attorney with the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights. If you guys have had an ear to the channel for a while, you're going to recognize this name here. The settlement is significant because it means that Florida officials finally recognize the need to correct past election process problems, NAAC President Kawisi Mfume said. If you remember that name, you're a star. This was, I think, before he sexually assaulted people in his office. I can't remember. But he's back in that House seat in Maryland, baby. 40 points. Fucking Baltimore, dude. What the fuck? The new state laws following the 2000 election did not go far enough to make sure all Florida voters would have equal access to the polls, because he thinks that black people are just too goddamn stupid. But I found that interesting how they were still pulling out the race card when it came to Florida, not mentioning the fact that there were thousands, or just about 1,000 military ballots that Al Gore had disqualified because, in case you don't remember, a lot of military ballots tend to break for Republicans, and that is the same thing that kind of happened in, a little state that we didn't get to cover today, but we'll bring up anyways, Georgia, because 8,000 ballots were supposed to make its way there, and fucking never really did. Yeah, never really did. So, the more you look at 2000, the more you start to see it resemble 2020 right now. And it's weird, right? Because a lot of the local election suits were thrown out that Gore put forward, that were put forward by both parties at the time. And then everything eventually worked its way up to the Supreme Court. And then, unfortunately, I don't know if Bush was the lesser of two evils. Probably, considering Tipper Gore would have been there and she would have, purged metal music from history. And I think we're better with the shoe dodger for 8 years, I suppose. But that's all right. John Kerry is apparently doing all right for himself as Bush's opponent from 2004. He's going to be getting some kind of cushy position in the Biden apparent cabinet. I forgot what it is, but I'm sure he's not qualified. Highly qualified for that position. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the recap, whatever. Who fucking cares at this point? Everything's going up to the Supreme Court because no judges want to fucking do anything about it. And then comparing and contrasting Democrats just trying to push the race card in order to make people feel bad about elections. They really need to update their tactics. It's fucking terrible. And with that, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.